The end goal of any intricate scholarly study is to tackle a straightforward issue we all face in our daily lives. Take, for example, the book I'm reading, Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. It aims to answer the age-old question, what is the essence of true happiness? This book is crucial because it serves as the foundation for many other works we've talked about, like Happier, Learn the Secrets to Daily Joy and Lasting Fulfillment, Thinking Fast and Slow, and The Road Less Traveled. These authors have all drawn from the research findings of flow to support their own theories. Written by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, this book is considered a scientific masterpiece because it uses rigorous research methods to address the elusive topic of happiness, something psychology has struggled to define. We all want to know the secret to ultimate happiness and how to live a more fulfilling life. But the challenge lies in quantifying this happiness. How do you measure it? Through empirical research, the author helps us understand that true happiness comes from a sense of inner order. He even brings in an intriguing concept from physics, entropy, to explain this inner order. So what exactly is entropy? Entropy is a measure of chaos or disorder. For instance, a room has low entropy when it's empty, but as people enter, moving things around and causing spills, the room becomes more chaotic, increasing its entropy. Essentially, all natural processes are inclined to increase entropy. However, there's an exception: life processes, like photosynthesis. This process takes chaotic elements like sunlight, air, and carbon dioxide and transforms them into organized nutrients thanks to plants. This is an example of reversing entropy. In daily life, people often experience what author Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls psychic entropy, a state of mental chaos that correlates with life's hardships. So what is psychic entropy? According to Mihaly, it occurs when our internal goals and structures are threatened, leading to a state of inner chaos. He warns that this state is unfortunately the norm. On the flip side, the antidote to psychic entropy is what he calls the optimal experience, or flow. How would you describe this flow experience? Imagine tackling a challenging math problem. You're so engrossed that time seems to slip away, and you don't feel any inner turmoil or self-criticism. You're completely absorbed, and you solve the problem flawlessly. That's what flow feels like. Even homemakers say they experience flow while cooking. When they're peacefully preparing meals and glance over to see their family enjoying themselves, they feel a sense of heart flow, a warm, inner experience of flow. This sensation of flow is what we can call genuine happiness, backed by both physiological and psychological evidence. The ultimate goal in life is to experience this state of flow as much as possible, and that's the central theme of this book. So, that wraps up the book, but it's not as simple as that. Do you know when people experience flow the most? A well-conducted social survey starts with no preconceived notions, but often uncovers astonishing findings. Absolutely, many of us have conducted academic surveys, often with preconceived notions of what the results should be. We tailor the questionnaire to fit those expectations, and unsurprisingly, the results align. This approach leads to subpar research. In contrast, a well-executed survey starts with an open mind. You're genuinely curious and have no idea what the results will be. Mihaly and his team took this approach when they collected data on flow experiences. They wanted to know whether people experience flow more at work or during their free time. The findings? A staggering 54% of flow experiences occur at work, compared to just 18% during leisure activities. Interestingly, not all leisure activities can induce a state of flow. For instance, you might think that endlessly scrolling through your phone would be relaxing, but after a while you find yourself disliking the activity, feeling frustrated and bored. Actually, work isn't as dreadful as we often think it is. If we can learn to recognize and cultivate more flow experiences, we can transform every work situation into a captivating experience. Mihaly refers to an ancient Chinese tale from Zhuangzi known as the butcher. In this story, the butcher explains to the king that he doesn't use his eyes to cut the cow, he uses his spirit. Mihaly interprets this as the butcher being in a state of flow. He's not merely looking at the cow, he's fully immersed, feeling the cow with his entire being. His knife and the cow become one, allowing for swift and precise cuts. As a result, while others' knives dull quickly, his remains sharp even after a decade. This is what flow feels like. I'm reminded of another classic Chinese tale, the oil seller. In this story, the seller uses a copper coin with a square hole to cover the bottle's mouth and pours the oil without spilling a drop. When asked how he manages this feat, the seller simply says, "It's all in the skill of the hand." He's fully absorbed in the task, experiencing what Mihaly would describe as a state of flow. This isn't some motivational fluff urging you to find your flow. It's a scientific approach to staying focused, efficient, and significantly happier. If we can understand the principles behind flow, how it occurs, and how it creates more flow experiences in our lives, we'll find ourselves leading more serene, composed, and joyful lives. Flow isn't just a concept. It's a tangible state we can achieve. So let's explore how to tap into this state of flow. First off, it's important to understand that happiness isn't easily achieved. This idea is touched upon in The Road Less Traveled, which argues that the earth wasn't designed with human comfort in mind. As the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "Heaven and earth are impartial. They see the 10,000 things as straw dogs." In other words, nature doesn't care about our well-being. Our ancestors survived in a world filled with natural disasters and harsh conditions, constantly battling the elements. Secondly, the issue lies within us. Our desires are insatiable. I was reminded of this while playing tennis with my nephew. He used to be thrilled just to keep a volley going for a few rounds. Now, despite his improved skills, he still gets upset when he can't beat his dad. So, why do we become more disheartened as we get better at something? My nephew didn't have an answer, and I told him that's okay. This is a lifelong question, one that he'll come to understand over time. However, this is just a reflection of the insatiable nature of human desires. Our wants seem to grow in proportion to what we already have, making happiness elusive. Additionally, we're especially susceptible to losing our internal sense of order. You might find a moment of harmony between your body and mind, but it takes just one event to disrupt that balance. Internal chaos is often easier to slip into than maintaining a state of order. Another key point is that most of the strategies we might consider for achieving happiness have already been tried by many. Some focus solely on accumulating wealth, while others try to counteract the natural entropy of aging by exercising. If you had seen me at 18, you'd find a lean, toned physique, a state of physical order. But as we age, our bodies naturally accumulate fat, and our skin loses its elasticity, both signs of increasing entropy. People try various methods to counteract this, from exercise to beauty treatments to health supplements, but these are often short-term solutions. However, many traditional approaches to achieving happiness have proven to be ineffective, adding to the reasons why happiness is hard to come by. Let's delve into how mental entropy can spiral out of control. Take Julio, a worker, as an example. He's dealing with a slowly deflating car tire, but can't afford to fix it until his next paycheck. So he inflates the tire each morning and hopes it holds up long enough for him to get to work and partially back home. During his workday, he's plagued by worries that the tire's condition might worsen, affecting his job performance and even putting his employment at risk. This is how a minor issue can snowball into a major source of mental stress. In life, we often encounter situations like Julio's. Sometimes they're even more severe. One problem leads to another, each amplifying the stress and contributing to a growing sense of mental chaos. This is how mental entropy accumulates. External events like a flat tire or a family emergency disrupt our focus and threaten our goals, leading to internal disarray and, ultimately, a breakdown of our sense of self. This process exemplifies how mental entropy can spiral out of control within us. In contrast, achieving an optimal experience reverses this trend, restoring a sense of order and focus that isn't easily disrupted by external distractions. Here's a vivid account of what this optimal flow experience feels like. The joy of achieving perfect self-control is exhilarating. You push your body to its limits until you feel a tingling sensation all over. Looking back at your accomplishments, the sense of awe and admiration you feel for yourself is beyond words. This state brings you a euphoric sense of self-satisfaction. Once you've conquered yourself in such a challenge, other life hurdles seem much more manageable. Who does this sound like? It's a rock climber. He finds that his moments of flow often come after scaling a particularly challenging rock face, filling him with an indescribable sense of excitement. This same feeling can be replicated in various other activities, whether it's winning a chess match, successfully navigating a tough negotiation, having a meaningful conversation with employees, or playing an excellent game of basketball. So based on this rock climber's account, we can deduce that all experiences of flow share two key attributes. They are unique and complex. Uniqueness in this context means experiencing a sense of personal worth during the activity, feeling that you bring something different to the table. Complexity, on the other hand, implies that the task can't be overly simple. It must involve a process that challenges you. When you combine these two elements, uniqueness and complexity, you'll find that they contribute to personal growth. After experiencing flow, you'll feel that you've grown in some way, and that's the gift of flow. The key ingredients for achieving flow include engaging in activities that challenge you. This could be anything from rock climbing and playing chess to tackling complex projects or public speaking in front of a large audience. The second ingredient is the unity of thought and action, or being fully immersed in what you're doing. Regardless of your job or position, achieving excellence requires focused energy. Flow isn't exclusive to high-status jobs. For example, the book mentions a production line worker who performs repetitive tasks but does them to perfection. He takes great pride in his work and finds genuine joy in it, setting him apart from his peers. Have you ever watched a show where people use forklifts to perform challenges like picking up bottle caps? The point is, anyone in any field can strive to be the best. When you take on such expert-level challenges, you'll find it much easier to achieve a state of complete immersion or flow. The third key ingredient for achieving flow is having clear objectives and receiving immediate feedback. For instance, many surgeons prefer not to switch to internal medicine or psychiatry, not because one specialty is superior to another, but because surgeons get instant feedback. The moment they complete a successful operation, they immediately feel the gratification of saving a life. In contrast, Internal medicine doctors and psychiatrists often have to wait much longer to see the outcomes of their treatments, reducing their chances of experiencing flow. Surgeons, with their well-defined goals and immediate feedback, are more likely to enter a flow state. The fourth element is a sense of mastery or control. Those who experience flow don't feel overwhelmed by the task at hand. If they did, the resulting feeling would be one of stress, not flow. Flow occurs when you feel you're in control and performing at your best. If you've participated in sports, you'll recognize this as those days when every shot seems to land perfectly. However, Mihaly notes an exception. Gambling doesn't qualify as a flow experience. Many gamblers may feel they're in control, placing bets with high confidence. But this is an illusion, a form of self-deception. The sense of control one might feel in a casino is not a genuine flow experience. Another key aspect of flow is the experience of total immersion, where you lose all sense of self and time seems to distort. You may have been engaged in an activity for hours, but it feels like mere moments have passed. This is a state that most people have likely experienced at some point. The beauty of understanding flow is that it helps you realize that happiness lies in the journey itself, not necessarily in the outcome. It's in those moments of complete engagement where you're challenged yet in control that you find the most joy. So, the ultimate goal isn't something external, it's about your internal experience and mastery of the process. That's what flow is all about. How can we achieve this state of flow in our daily lives? The key term here is growth. Flow leads to new discoveries and a sense of creativity, pushing you into new realms of possibility and elevating your performance to levels you never thought possible. In essence, it enriches and complicates your sense of self, leading to personal growth. This is the crux of activities that generate flow. To make it more understandable, consider a graph where the x-axis represents your skills and the y-axis represents the challenges you face. When your skills are more than adequate for the challenges at hand, you'll likely experience boredom. If you find yourself doing monotonous tasks like stamping and sending documents day in and day out, you'll likely feel bored and disengaged. On the other hand, if you're overwhelmed by challenges that far exceed your skills, you'll experience anxiety and stress. It's a difficult and painful state to be in. However, there's a sweet spot between these extremes, known as the flow channel. This is what I refer to as the tipping point for growth, where we often find the opportunities for personal development. If you aim too high, like wanting to become the next Elon Musk overnight, you're setting yourself up for anxiety. But if you set more achievable goals, like earning a certain amount, you'll find that you can hit that tipping point for personal growth, which can lead you into a state of flow. The trick is to avoid both boredom and anxiety by finding that flow channel where you can grow and thrive. This is a crucial aspect of achieving a state of flow, and it all boils down to the concept of growth. What contributes to this feeling of personal growth? One factor is culture, as illustrated by the work paradox. We've talked about how 54% of flow experiences happen at work. Yet, when people are asked if they'd rather stop working to watch TV, the majority say yes. It's odd because even when they're engrossed in their work, they'd still choose leisure activities when given the option. Why? Even though work is more fulfilling and leisure is often dull. According to Mihaly, this is due to cultural conditioning. In the Bible, Adam was sentenced to work as a punishment from God, setting the tone for the perception that work is a form of suffering. This cultural backdrop makes people eager to disengage from work the moment they clock out. However, in Eastern philosophies like Confucianism, the focus is on finding joy in what you do. So, culture plays a significant role in how we perceive work and leisure. If you're interested in exploring more about ancient Chinese wisdom, feel free to leave a comment, and we might delve deeper into those topics in future book summaries. Personality plays a significant role in our ability to experience flow, and it's shaped by various factors like genetics and family upbringing. For instance, if your family only focuses on results like grades or achievements, you're less likely to appreciate the journey itself. But remember, the ability to experience flow can be cultivated. Take the case of a man who spent about a decade in prison. Upon his release, he immediately told his friends he wanted to play golf. Intrigued, they asked why. He explained that he had been practicing in his mind while incarcerated. Although he couldn't physically play golf in prison, he spent years visualizing himself playing an entire 18-hole round, even correcting his swings and considering wind conditions in his imagination. After years of this mental practice, his friends took him to a golf course upon his release. Astonishingly, he played like a pro, outperforming everyone else. This real-life example demonstrates that even in the most restrictive environments, like prison, one can still find ways to experience flow and improve skills. It shows that the peaks of life can be reached even under the most challenging circumstances. In a Hungarian prison filled with intellectuals, a remarkable story unfolded. These inmates, burdened with hard labor, found a unique way to keep their spirits high. They organized a covert poetry translation contest. This was no small feat. They couldn't openly announce the contest, so they used coded messages and secret communication methods. Just deciding on which poem to translate took months, as they had to discreetly inform inmates in different cells. They eventually settled on Walt Whitman's O Captain, My Captain, a poem most inmates could recall by heart, as they had no paper for reference. With the poem selected, the real challenge began. Lacking paper and pens, one inmate named Tibor used soap to write on the sole of his shoe, carving letters with a toothpick. Each line was memorized before being secretly passed on to the next cell. In time, multiple versions of the translated poem circulated within the prison, each critiqued and voted on by the inmates. They even moved on to translating a poem by German poet Schiller. Despite being in a place that stripped them of their freedom and opportunities, these intellectuals found a way to experience the pinnacle of human spirit, all by organizing a poetry translation contest in the most unconventional of ways. The Russian author Solzhenitsyn, known for his anti-authoritarian novel The Gulag Archipelago, also spoke of experiencing flow. He described moments when, even surrounded by desperate inmates and armed guards, he felt an overwhelming sense of freedom and happiness. For him, the physical barriers of the prison ceased to exist, as if he had flown far away in his mind. This shows that anyone skilled in finding flow can experience life's highs, even in the most restrictive environments. The key to achieving this state of flow is personal growth, and it's influenced by your surroundings, your cultural beliefs, and your personality traits. Turning to everyday life, let's consider the joy that our senses can bring us. For instance, something as simple as a walk can induce a state of flow. However, it's not just the act of walking that matters. The real formula for deriving pleasure from any sensory experience is the combination of action and emotional engagement. To truly experience something, you need to engage both your senses and your soul. For example, when walking, you can set specific goals and make incremental demands on yourself to improve from the day before. By doing so, you'll find that the simple act of walking becomes far more engaging. I know someone who finds flow in marathon running. He feels incomplete unless he runs several miles, a sentiment that many runners can relate to. I've also started running and find immense joy in seeing my fitness levels improve. Activities like walking, running, and especially dancing can naturally induce a state of flow. When you're fully immersed in the rhythm and music, it's easy to lose yourself in the moment. The term yoga originally means union, signifying the union between humans and the divine. Practicing yoga can also lead to a state of flow. The author of the book argues that the West has much to learn from the East when it comes to holistic practices that integrate the body, mind, and spirit, as opposed to the West's more fragmented approach that often neglects the spiritual component. Engaging in activities like listening to music or appreciating art can also induce a state of flow. I recall a conversation with a professor who mentioned that to truly experience an art exhibit, one should spend an entire day immersed in a single painting. Most people, however, just skim through exhibitions, taking quick photos and moving on, which hardly does justice to the art. Similarly, activities like listening to music or enjoying food can also lead to flow. While we often engage our senses, we seldom channel them to achieve this deeply immersive state. Intellectual pursuits, whether it's in history, science, or philosophy, can also offer the joy of flow. There's a famous story about Newton, who was so engrossed in his scientific thoughts that he accidentally boiled his watch instead of an egg. This level of immersion illustrates how intellectual joy can lead to flow. So, whether you're a professional or an amateur, the key to experiencing flow is to find activities that allow for personal growth and continuous challenges. Even if you're not playing basketball at an NBA level, you can still achieve a state of flow by pushing your own boundaries. While many view work as a necessary burden, echoing the biblical notion of labor as Adam's punishment, Freud argued that the key to happiness is a balance of work and love. If we shift our mindset, work can become one of the most fulfilling aspects of life, rich with opportunities for flow experiences. The trick is to approach work as if it's a game. However, this is easier said than done. Achieving this state depends on two things: the design of the work and your own attitude. If a job is structured to be more challenging rather than monotonous, it's more likely to induce flow. But your mindset is equally crucial. If you're predisposed to see work as a chore, no amount of job redesign will change that. So if you can change your perspective on work, akin to the wise oil salesman or the skilled butcher from ancient tales, your experience will be transformed. I often get asked if I find it tiring to make book review videos all day. I have to repeatedly clarify that I genuinely enjoy it, which many find hard to believe. They assume that maintaining a daily content schedule must be draining, thinking I'm just trying to put a positive spin on it. Actually, if you view it as a way to connect with others, your whole outlook changes. I already enjoy reading, and now I can even earn money from it. How great is that? When you shift your mindset, your experience transforms. So, it's crucial to challenge our cultural assumptions about work and see it in a new light. Leisure time is equally important. How you spend your downtime has a significant impact on your overall well-being. There's a piece of wisdom I'd like to share, particularly with the younger generation, as it's vitally important. Unless you can master both your work and your free time, you're bound to feel unfulfilled. Most work and leisure activities, particularly the passive consumption of mass media, aren't designed to enrich our lives. They're just means for someone else to profit. If we let these activities dominate us, they'll drain our vitality, leaving us hollow. Conversely, both work and leisure can be fulfilling if we approach them the right way. Those who learn to derive pleasure from their work and make meaningful use of their free time will find life increasingly rewarding. When we're engrossed in smartphone games, it's important to realize that these games aren't designed to help us grow. They're designed to keep us hooked. As mentioned in the book Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products, all the addictive features aim to keep us spending more time on the game. The same principle applies to watching TV. When we're addicted to a TV series or various games, even if the storyline is cliched, our mental well-being deteriorates. We're not learning, growing, or becoming more focused. So, the way we spend our free time, whether we use it to sharpen our focus and enrich our lives, or simply indulge ourselves, will significantly impact our life's achievements. I particularly hope that young people and kids will ponder this. It's crucial to think about how we should be spending our free time. In Deep Work: Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World, the idea is presented that we should consider the 16 hours after work as a second day within our day. The brain doesn't tire out, it just needs different challenges to rejuvenate. There's a world of knowledge and experiences that can offer us peak flow moments, everything from literature and poetry to history, logic, philosophy, and the sciences. The more I delve into books on my channel, the more I find myself wanting to explore. This sense of intellectual curiosity is truly empowering and adds joy to work. Another source of flow is the joy derived from human interactions. Ever wondered why so many people dread loneliness? It's because solitude makes it harder to maintain mental equilibrium. The advice here is that learning to value solitude should start in childhood. If a young teen can't handle being alone, they're not going to be well suited for jobs that require serious focus and preparation later in life. Many teens drop their books the moment they get home, snack a bit, and then immediately reach for the phone to chat with friends. If the conversation dries up, they'll turn on some music or the TV. Even the most disciplined among us will eventually seek out lighter, more enjoyable activities. But summoning joy isn't as simple as we'd like. Our minds are often more susceptible to darker thoughts. This leads teenagers to worry about their looks, social standing, and future prospects. To avoid these mental pitfalls, they fill their time with distractions. Reading doesn't fit the bill because it's too demanding. To escape the mental chaos, teens are willing to do almost anything that doesn't require too much cognitive effort. This includes listening to music, watching TV, or hanging out with friends. Some even turn to drugs or join gangs just to pass the time and avoid feeling lonely. So, if you can't find value in solitude or discover flow experiences within it, you may struggle with tasks that require deep concentration and thought later in life. Here's a word of caution. Don't let yourself off the hook too easily. Continual relaxation and indulgence only lead to increasing mental disarray. Learning to focus your attention during moments of solitude can lead to what's called anti-entropic behaviors. Once you master this, you'll find that joy can be found in relationships, be it with family, friends, or co-workers. Engaging in a one-on-one conversation can also lead to moments of flow, those peak experiences that make life truly fulfilling. When you're fully present and listening intently to the other person, a unique kind of harmony emerges. It's a rare but deeply rewarding experience. So, the next time you find yourself in a conversation, try to listen without interrupting or rushing to give your own opinion. Just by being an attentive listener and showing genuine respect, you can tap into this state of flow. I've come to realize that not being fully present can make the other person feel like they're just a burden. So when it comes to relationships, truly focusing on the other person not only enriches the conversation, but also elevates it to a new level of flow experience. Finally, let's talk about finding flow in the face of challenges. After all, adversity often serves as a catalyst for personal growth. There's an intriguing book called Conversations with God series, which I usually don't delve into because it leans a bit too much into idealism. The story it narrates is about a man who had it all, a middle-class lifestyle, a job, and a family. But life took a drastic turn when he fell seriously ill, leading to job loss and eventually a divorce. His wife got custody of the house and the kids, leaving him with nothing but his car. To make matters worse, he found out his friend had moved and his car got stolen. Suddenly, this man found himself with absolutely nothing, no job, no family, and not even a car. Stricken with illness and alone, he ended up homeless, wandering the parks of New York for years. Just when he was at rock bottom, he had a moment of clarity. If one believes in a higher power, then surely everything that happens must have a purpose. He began to question the reason behind his sudden downfall. What was the universe or God trying to tell him? He started contemplating the essence of life and eventually penned the book Conversations with God series, which turned into a trilogy and sold numerous copies. This incredible journey took him from being a homeless wanderer to becoming a spiritual guru, a best-selling author, and a sought-after speaker who traveled globally. This story illustrates the transformative power of overcoming setbacks. If we recognize that achieving a state of flow is the ultimate life experience we should strive for, then even life's challenges can become opportunities for us to reach this state. It's worth remembering examples like the inmates who organized poetry translation contests, the philosopher who found solace in a New York park, or the individual who honed his golf skills while confined to a prison cell. To sum it up, the crux of achieving a flow state is about learning how to seek life's purpose. Essentially, the reins of personal evolution are in our hands. When we go beyond the pursuit of material gains, security, or social standing, our lives begin to evolve in a meaningful way. We each hold the keys to our own evolution. We have the choice to either wander aimlessly in spiritual confusion or take control of our destiny. We can let our minds spiral into chaos, or we can become the architects of our own lives, often experiencing the joy and clarity that comes from being in a flow state. Living in a constant state of flow is similar to the deep focus often talked about in Buddhist teachings. It allows you to be consistently joyful and to understand the significance of each moment, all while maintaining a mindful presence. I hope this book serves as a catalyst for inspiration in our lives, nudging us to start small but aim big, to seek growth, and to find ways to reduce the chaos in our minds.